stuff, and we'll remind you of all this. All these documents, I keep saying this, are up on the Blackboard site. Dr. Gregory is going to have this available to you. You want to do your homework and read through all of these very carefully. But we'll go over it again when we're at the airport together. Little things like when we're out in public and we're taking a look at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which we're not going to, but if we were, right? We're all in a big group, right? And we're all kind of, and normal things just to kind of mill around. You got your purse over here and your Gucci bag over here, and you're kind of like looking up here. And guess what? There are these guys that are like, I'm looking at your Gucci bag and your purse, right? And they're kind of skulking around nearby. You'll see Dr. Burns, me, Chris, a couple of the other folks. We're going to be on the outside of the group going, move in, right? The tighter we are, and get in nice and close to each other. Number one, it's warm. Number two, that means we're less of a target. And you'll see several of us kind of not looking at the Tower of Pisa, but just kind of making eye contact with people like, you're not in our group. And usually that deters people from doing it. But I mean, we're pretty good at it. We have 700 something people that we brought over there. I know of only 2 property crimes that have occurred while we were traveling. Only 2 property crimes. We had one person whose passport was stolen only because she wasn't wearing a neck wallet. She wasn't wearing one like she should have been. Instead, she had a neck wallet, and the passport was in the neck wallet, and it was in her pocket in her coat, which is not where neck wallets go, right? The other girl simply had her digital camera in her coat pocket, and it got taken from her. Both of those happened in Barcelona, by the way, which is a place where you really want to watch out. Rome, pickpockets in Rome. The number 64 bus line is infamous, right? So if you get on the number 64 bus, watch out. Okay. Dr. Gregory threw down some ninja moves on the number 64 bus. I remember this.
I have been known to scream at people
She doesn't hold
on if they look suspicious and are perfectly normal tourists, and I've yelled at them. And
there was a husband and wife couple, I remember.
They got up in our group by accident, and he went to go take something out of his wife's backpack, and I thought it was a student, and so I attacked him. For you guys.
Backpack on, and her husband is like trying to get something open, and Dr. Gregory's like
no! He looked terrified. I was mortified.
I was so proud of him.
I will throw down for you.
This man is scared. He's coming to my throat. But the moral of the story is watch out for each other, right?
Yes,
It was okay. You know what? That husband and wife team were just like, that's okay. I'm glad you were. I mean, they really were really nice. That was fun. Yeah. So we'll go over some more of this. You just have to be aware.
I know they were afraid.
Yeah, you just have to be kind of aware. Well, I'm going to cover quickly in the time that we have remaining, if I can, and then we'll have the final announcements, and we'll get you to have a break and have some real class. Some money matters, okay? Everybody knows what the euro is, right? It's the money we'll be using while we're over there. Unless we go to London and connect there, then you'll have what you need in terms of euros or dollars. Right now, the exchange rate is about $1.30. By the way, that's really good compared to what it was about a year and a half ago, which was like $1.50 or $1.60 for a euro. So go dollar go, because the more the dollar strengthens, the more the farther your money goes, right? I am just a big believer in using ATMs. Now, when you get ready to go, you need to call your bank, call your credit card company. About a week and a half in advance and say, I'm going overseas. List any and all countries we might be going to. And say, make sure you don't block my card. Okay? Because they will. They'll say, what? Wait a minute. She's in Denton, Texas. Someone's using her card in Italy. And so you have to call them and make sure that they know not to put a hold on foreign transactions. Let them know that. Make sure that when you use your ATM card, you're making withdrawals from your checking account. You cannot make withdrawals from a savings account using an ATM card overseas, right? So some of you may have savings accounts. It's a checking account only. And I bank at Point Bank, right? And they've got like 4 branches and 2 guys named Fred that run the whole place. And I've gone all over the world with my debit card. That's it. I might bring a credit card or something like that, but I almost never have to use it. And so I just use my debit card wherever I go. And I go and get cash at ATMs. I typically will bring some Euro cash with me over there just because I'm a group leader and I gotta have more on me than maybe the daily ATM limit might require, right? But that isn't true for you. If you want to get euros and change them, it's expensive to do it at a bank, but you can. Wells Fargo here on the square will do it for you if you call them in advance. A couple of other places, Bank of America will do it. The rates aren't that good. The best possible exchange rates are using an ATM and using a credit card for your transaction. You get the very best possible exchange rate. My bank, Point Bank, if I bring my receipt from overseas ATMs, they reimburse me the fee. They don't charge me a fee, and they reimburse me whatever the other bank charged. So this is tiny little Point Bank. I pay absolutely no fees to use ATMs, even in Mongolia if I want to. And the exchange rate is really good. So what I do is, what I would do if I were you, for example, I would bring about $50 American cash, but not more than that. The most miserable people are the people who say, I'm not going to bring an ATM or a credit card. I'm going to bring just American cash, and I'll change it when I get over there. Why are they miserable? Because really the only two places that you can change cash are at a major bank, and we don't have time to go downtown to a major bank in Milan, or one of these rip-off money-changing kiosks. Just remember this. The only people that Jesus got mad at were the money changers. Because you immediately reach them. If you've seen their rates, you'll say, turn the tables over again. I'm serious. These people are crooks. They're horrible. But if you have to use one of those, always say, I have $100. How many euros will you give me? Right? Don't ask what's the exchange rate, because then they'll put on the fee and the fee and the fee and the fee. You think it's a French poodle, fee. You'll think that I mean, just say, how many euros do I get for this? And then you figure out the math and see whether you want to do it. But don't bring all cash. Don't do it. Somebody always does that, and they're miserable because they get crappy rates and they can't change it on time. The only people who are more miserable than that are people who use these antiquated things called traveler's checks. Under no circumstances would you ever use traveler's checks. Europeans will look at you like you just started World War III, and they don't want it. They really don't. Bad news, bad news. ATM, about $50 American cash. That's in case we get stuck in Newark or Atlanta, right? And a credit card, and you are fine. Yes?
Are you aware of the new chip and pin complication about credit cards?
I'm not, because I don't have a new one.
Okay.
What? Tell us about it.
Okay, so Italy is moving to a chip and pin credit card system rather than a swipe credit card system. Okay. And so I don't know if you guys have one or not. Some banks already issue cards with chip and pin. Okay. So I was in Italy this summer. As of right now, there are still plenty of places that have swipe machines, but they are getting rid of swipe machines and going to chip and pin only. So
how do they work? Tell us quickly.
So rather than the swipe, this is an American one, so it has both swipe and chip and pin, right? So, here you swipe, right? Everything. Actually, the U.S. is going to add chips as well. Instead of that, they put your chip into the reader, right? And all the Train Italian machines only have chips now. You cannot swipe at a Train Italian automated machine anymore, and that's the way they're moving to in the future.
Are the ATMs doing that too? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, but for now, I mean, for swipes should be fine, But if you're in a store and they say, sorry, if it's not chip and pin, you can't use that credit card, don't be surprised.
Okay, and they're doing that to cut down on A, fraud,
Yes.
and B, making sure people pay their taxes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
so many credit card companies will issue a card with a chip in it, and you can call and ask, can you give me a card? Your same exact card, just reissued with a chip in it.
Yeah, the good news is that we're still a few months out, and there's plenty of time to do that. But this is a thing that you want to do as part of your sort of personal homework to make sure that you're ready to go on that. But I'm a big believer in using ATMs and cards while I'm over there, simply because it's just really safe, and I get the best rates. And now here's a couple things that you have to keep in mind. In small towns and with mom and pop establishments, they sometimes don't like cards. There's a lot of Europe that's still very much on the cash system. Part of that's because they get out paying taxes sometimes. But a lot of it too is that their margins are very thin. You may not know this, but when you use a credit card, not only do you potentially pay interest if you carry a balance, but the card company actually charges the vendor about 3%, right? So this is why whenever I make a large purchase, instead of using a credit card, I'll go in and say, will you give me 3% off if I pay cash for like a sofa or whatever? And if the manager's there, he'll say yes. But frequently in Europe, they don't want to pay the fee. What do they recognize? Visa and MasterCard, sometimes Discover, sometimes American Express, but really Visa and MasterCard are the two Bs, okay? Sometimes you can get a lot of grief over American Express. They don't like them, there's a lot of fees and stuff, and they really don't know Discover as much. What do I say? I always recommend that, now when we get a little closer, I'll show you. The paper money is really easy. Because number one, it looks like Monopoly money. It's real colorful and all. It's really cool. But what's wonderful about it, in some ways, is that the bigger the note, I mean, the bigger the amount, the bigger the piece of paper. So a €5 note, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500, right? By the way, there's a nickname for the 500 notes. They're called Bin Ladens. Because they figure that the only people who use them are terrorists.
Dr. Litton. Dr. Litton.
What's that? Oh, you have a Bin Laden?
No, I don't know.
No, okay. Wow. So here's the little €5, and here's the €10, right? So it's a little bit bigger. So visually impaired people can, right? So they can tell. That's kind of cool.
And then the ones are in coins.
Yes, yeah. Now here's I should have brought all my. Okay, yeah. Now what do they have? They have a. What is this one?
It's got gunk on it.
It's British too,
one, and a British pound on the other side.
They have a €1 cent, a €2 cent. These are the coins. €2 cent, €5 cent, €10 cent, €20 cent, €50 cent, €1 coin, €2 coin. They have 8 coins. We have the penny, nickel, dime, and quarter, right? So in America, we just pay paper, right? Everybody just pays paper, right? And they take their change at home and they dump it in a jar. I won't keep your euro. So, especially since it's glued to a British pound. Now, here's what ends up happening, is that people will come to you on day 6 and they'll say, I'm all out of money. It's like, really? You're all out? Didn't you bring it up? Oh, bro, all I had was change. And we'll break out the change and there's like $68. Because a €2 coin is like $2.50 or $2.60 or $2.70. That one coin is like $2.70 or whatever. So if you've got like 5 €2 coins, shoot, you're buying lunch, not me. You got plenty of money, kid. So the thing you have to remember is that you need to spend your change as you go. Americans are not used to that. We think, well, the only time you spend change is when you're dead broke, right? You don't want your friends to see that you're spending your last nickel. But in Europe, the supermarkets are filled with elderly ladies with pocket purses that just count out the money. They're used to paying change, right? The other reason you've got to use up your change is this. When you come back to the States, no bank will change your change. So unless you want a lot of souvenir coins, right? What we typically do is when we get to the airport in Europe and we're heading back, everybody piles their change and they go buy chocolate with it, right? Give me this much chocolate. It's like load the boat. Because if you don't, you're not going to get your money back. Yeah. Bathrooms, pay bathrooms. Pay toilets. Yes. Make sure you have a few coins for the pay toilet. Don't get rid of them all. And remember, they can fool you because I went to this is the only pay toilet story I'm going to tell you. I'm in Prague, and it's by the Charles Bridge. And I go in and I think, oh wow, a free toilet for a change, because a lot of them are pay in Europe. And I walk in and I'm heading straight to where you go, and I didn't know that the lady who took money for you going was behind me. And I don't know what she said in Czech, but it was really loud and really long. And I was like, sorry. She ended up like, you must have paid to pee. And I came out and I was thinking about it, thinking, how dare she? I didn't see her. I'll just, I'll give her a piece of my, and then I thought, no. I'm not going to do that. This lady works in a public restroom, and I am not going to give her any grief. And I walked out saying, you have a lovely day. I'm just not going to be mean to somebody who's working hard for a living like that. So, you got to go with it. But there are a lot of pay toilets, so you just do that. Just be aware of what you have on you, okay? Because, plus it's really heavy. You walk with a limp if you keep it in one pocket, you don't start spinning. But it's normal to pay that. You need about $25 a day minimum, okay? That's for your lunch, for running around money, getting some postcards, or just incidental, you want to pop in and get a cappuccino. By the way, in Italy, they only drink cappuccino in the mornings, right? It's not an afternoon or evening drink. Don't think you're weird. So anyway, write down your credit card numbers separately, keep it in your checked bag, those kinds of things. Use a money belt or a neck wallet. I like using a neck wallet. okay? Because, and what Richard was saying is true. This is the area where you're most aware, in front and in your body core, right? I mean, you're gonna know if somebody puts his hand down your shirt. I mean, I'm gonna know, right? It's like, excuse me. As I get older and a little bit more portly, I don't use money belts much, okay? Because, frankly, it's a little harder to get in there. Plus, it just is a little unseemly for a guy to like. Most people know what you're doing if you're at a restaurant, but it's a little weird going, hold on, while I get my money out of next to my underwear. So I just use a neck wallet, but believe me, whatever you use, I have never known a single person who had his or her money in a neck wallet or a money belt who ever got their pocket picked. I mean, I'm sure there probably has been, but it's really tough. They don't want that. They want easy targets. They're thieves because they're lazy. Right? If they were hardworking people, they would have this thing called a job. Right? So they're looking and going, who's easy? You know, so I can knock off and make 100 euros before lunch and then go drink the rest of the day or whatever to do. ATM must be linked to checking only. A few things about our hotels and stuff, navigating the customs and these sorts of things. But the big thing to remember, and then I'll give it over to Beth for the last couple of announcements. The big thing to remember is this, is that be prepared, plan it out. The money aspect is something you need to think about, but it's not something you have to overthink, okay? But how much to bring is entirely up to you. I also recommend highly hitting the ATMs before we go to a small town, right? Because there may not be as many ATMs, there may not be, some of them may be empty, you know what I mean? Sometimes they're out of order or something like that. And in some of the small towns, they may do cash only. But if you're in a big place like Rome, you're perfectly fine. Watch out for this thing called skimming. Anybody ever heard of skimming? Where you put your card into a machine, and if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel like a good firm fit, it's because somebody who's a crook may have put a device over it designed to read your card. Watch out for people who are trying to be helpful with you at ATMs. Don't ever let them. Okay? When you're at the ATM, you need to be here and you need to have two people, and they should be faced the other way like this. This is really good. Nobody who wants to help you with the. Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked up to somebody at an ATM, uninvited, unasked, without them exhibiting any confusion whatsoever, and asked, could you help them? No, because you were afraid you might get arrested, correct? Yeah, that's what happens. No one helps people do that, right? It's like being in a store and someone coming over and saying, "Can I help you pick out underwear?" No, that's not normal. Okay, something wrong with that request. Okay, this is just so you should be suspicious of that. A couple of other things that you want to do is make sure that your parents know, or your family members back here know how to get in touch with you at all times. Just before we go, we're going to publish our official itinerary, right? When we know the flights, and we know the hotels, and we know the times and dates, we're going to put that up online. We're going to put it up where everybody has access to it. You need to make sure someone back here has a copy of that so that they know how to get in touch with you at all times. We'll have it all ready for you. And then every day, once school lets out to the day we depart, every day you must check your email and you must check the Facebook or Blackboard, because those flight numbers and times can change. And when they change, we'll change the itinerary and send an email blast saying, hey, update to the itinerary. Make sure your family members have the latest version of what we put out. Does everybody see what I'm talking about? Very important. Once we leave and we go home for the holidays, it's tough to stay. So you have to be checking daily, every single day. Beth's got about 3 or 4 announcements real quick to do, and then we'll let you turn you over to